In the last few days, we've seen the Church of England admit their anti-Semitism throughout history, and how their anti-Semitism has increased the persecution of Jews throughout the world, and has actually fueled most of that persecution. And they've admitted that in a 100-page report. I don't think the report goes far enough, but at least there is an admission of guilt for what has been done and said against the Jewish people. And also on Tuesday, we heard that Rabbi Ephraim Mervis, the chief rabbi of the UK, has criticised Jeremy Corbyn and said that we shouldn't vote for him because it will be dangerous for the Jewish people. I think he's absolutely right, and so does Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, who said the same thing, backing Chief Rabbi. And it was really good to see that Justin Welby had done that. I feel though he should have said something long before that, but having waited, I guess, for the chief rabbi to make a statement, then he felt he must back that up. So that was really refreshing and really interesting. And I spoke in Allerton Synagogue on Wednesday afternoon, and the Jewish people there were quite disturbed at what's happening and what's being said, and the denial of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party by Mr Corbyn, and his failure to apologise when he was interviewed by Andrew Neil. And all these things make us realise that actually there is this simmering anti-Semitism still, even after the Holocaust. And I think of the work of Father's House and how we have tried to combat, and do still try to combat, anti-Semitism. There's such a lot going on at Father's House. On Monday night, myself and Ed Walker go to Stoke, and we teach the Hidden Treasures course, which is about Israel, and teach believers, Christians, the scriptures regarding Israel. And on this particular course, there are 5 people who have no idea about Israel, and yet they are believers and they're in churches. And it's refreshing for us to have an opportunity, and a privilege for us to have an opportunity to go and teach people like that, because they're the people who can spread the word that the Jews are God's chosen people, and that the church has not replaced Israel. So it's quite a refreshing thing. And Ed Walker and Jill Walker teach on a Tuesday morning at the Well in Father's House, and they often teach about Israel. They do a prayer for Israel night on a Wednesday, and they're an amazing couple. And then on Tuesday afternoon, I heard Aaron in one of the children's rooms in Father's House, and he was teaching Hebrew to the children and some of the adults, and it was just lovely to hear that. And as I say, on Wednesday, I went to speak at Allerton Synagogue, and I spoke about what the chief rabbi had said, but I also spoke about the history of Christian anti-Semitism. And on a Wednesday night, I teach a course on Holocaust, in which the part of the thrust of the course is Christian anti-Semitism, which fueled the Holocaust. And I've been teaching that for about 15 years. And then we have our Sabbath services, which often have Israel in the message, and when we speak against anti-Semitism throughout society, but particularly from within the church. And there's a great deal that we try and do. We also are involved with reports and posting things with regard to anti-Semitism in the country. And we feel that is one of the calls that we have in Father's House. And it's quite a strong call, but it takes a great deal of time. And as well as all these meetings, we have house groups. Tuesday night there was a house group, and I know Keith and Lynn, who run the house group, often speak about Israel. And on top of that, we have the daily prayer. We have an hour's prayer every day in Father's House, except for Sunday. And then we have meetings on Sundays, and we're planning a Holocaust Memorial week. It's a whole week where we have a speaker coming from Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, So it's full on, absolutely full on. And it made me think of the scriptures and what Yeshua said about the labourers are few. And it's in Luke 10 that we see that he sends out 72 workers. I'll read it to you. He says, after this, the Lord appointed 72 others and sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him to every town and place where he was about to go. He told them, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. Go, I am sending you out like lambs among the wolves. And we feel a bit like that at Father's house, that there are few labourers who can do the work that is needed to bring the truth of the scriptures, not only with regard to Israel, but regarding other matters. The Ten Commandments, we've been told and actually vilified for having the Ten Commandments on the wall at Father's house, but we stress that there is a need to uphold the Ten Commandments that God gave to Moses, and we need people to help us spread the word from the Bible about many other aspects. Abortion is one. There is the general aspect of Christianity with regard to religion in schools and morals within society. We try and speak out about that all the time. And we also, on a Friday lunchtime, feed the poor as well. And Don and Dorothy Biddulph do that regularly on a Friday. I think Shirley's cooking this Friday, and but everybody is so busy. And this idea that the labourers are few is something we need to pray about. Yeshua says here, he said, ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into the harvest field. Well, we need workers to come into Father's house. We need people to come in who are willing to work and willing to do the work of God and to spread his word. We need people who want to come in to be servants, to serve the Lord in every possible way. We need the Lord to send us workers who have the same vision as us, to take out the word of God from Father's house to other places, and that's what our prayer needs to be. This week also, on top of everything else, I'm going to UCB to their an evening function of theirs, because somebody wants me to go to help make contacts so that we can spread the word about Israel, so that we can get into other areas of the distribution of the word about Israel. And so this week it's full of meetings, trying to get the word out, trying to do things positively for the Lord. So would you please pray with us that the Lord would send us workers, would send us people who would want to come alongside us with this vision that we have, and to help us do what we are called to do. You know, if you're not doing something for the Lord, if you're not doing anything for the Lord, then just give us a call and offer us your services, and see if you can help us, or even come and join us. So as we enter the Shabbat and as we go forward to take a day of rest, let's think about what God said about working for 7 days, labouring for 7 days, and let's think about how we can labour for him. Shabbat Shalom, Mike Fryer.